Today on Sports Central, beginning you guys my 2021 SEC quarterback rankings for the upcoming college football season. And as we inch closer and closer to the college football season, it's time to start looking at the players' positions. And we're going to be starting out with the quarterbacks, and I'll be ranking the expected starting quarterbacks for each of the SEC teams here for the 2021 college football season. And everything obviously is not set in stone quite yet. We still have several quarterback battles that definitely could go very far into the college football season. So everything, once again, is not set in stone quite yet, but these are the expected quarterbacks for their teams, and that's what we're going to be ranking here today. We're going to go ahead and get started with their number 14, which is going to be BEAU Allen. And these were primarily based off of, one, the experience of the quarterbacks as well as the stats and kind of how they're expected to be, and honestly the talent around them for the upcoming season. And BEAU Allen, unfortunately for Kentucky, comes in as our number 14 here. We're also going to be having our tier list, and this is going to be a part of the D tier here. BEAU Allen really just does not have a lot of experience. I mean, he's got potential for sure. He's not the worst quarterback in the country, but I mean, he only attempted like 7 passes as a true freshman for Kentucky, so we've not seen him a whole lot. But I mean, just looking at him and how he plays and his play style, I think he doesn't really look like the best quarterback by any means in the SEC next season. I mean, he put up 40 yards for 42% completion rate here last season. Obviously, that's not much to go by just because of he didn't really play a whole lot last season, but who knows? With the talent around him, he doesn't have a whole lot, and that's another kind of concern for him next season, is his offensive line is also not very good. So BEAU Allen comes in at number 14 for Kentucky. Number 13 is going to be Luke Doty from South Carolina. Obviously, he's actually been already named as the starting quarterback for South Carolina. That happened this spring, and he's played a decent amount for South Carolina. Last season was his only primary season with South Carolina as their quarterback, putting up just over 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a 60% completion rate as well. So stats are not excellent out of him, and really I feel like, I mean, he's got potential, but his upper limit just is not that high from what we've seen of him. I mean, he's a decent quarterback for sure, but it's just, I just don't think that being in the SEC is going to be one of the top quarterbacks in there. I mean, South Carolina also is just kind of in a mess right now, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, that team's got talent, but they just it's just not a good situation for them right now, and I think Luke Doty is going to kind of have a rough season here in 2021. Who knows though? I mean, especially, I mean, for both Kentucky and South Carolina, things are not completely set in stone. We could easily see another quarterback come up and take the starting position, but it looks like Luke Doty, according to Shane Beamer, is going to be your starting quarterback for next season. So we'll have to see what happens there. But number 12 is going to be KJ Jefferson. He starts off the C tier. So we only had Luke Doty and BEAU Allen as your D tier quarterbacks. KJ Jefferson has got potential for sure. I really like this guy. He was a former 4-star prospect. He really showed his potential towards the end of last season. He put up over 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, 48% completion rate, which is not excellent, but then again, he didn't play a whole lot, so you can't really look at that completion rate too closely. But KJ Jefferson has got potential. He was right behind Felipe Franks last season. He had the time to be able to learn from him. He's also got Treylon Burks. This is a huge player to note right here. Probably one of the best wide receivers in the SEC next season there with Treylon Burks. That's going to be huge for KJ Jefferson, and it just, I mean, if he was in the Pac-12, I think KJ Jefferson could easily get a top 6 ranking. But I mean, the SEC is very tough at the quarterback position next season. Lots of great players. KJ Jefferson, I think, has got a ton of potential, especially with a great wide receiver with Treylon Burks there. But I don't know. This team is losing quite a bit of talent otherwise going into next season, so that is something to watch out for. But he has been with Arkansas for 2 seasons here already. He was with the team in 2019. Didn't play a whole lot, but this should be his first primary starting season for Arkansas. But looking at your number 11, it's going to be Haynes King or whichever quarterback is in for Texas A&M, which Texas A&M, I mean, for them to be at number 11 is kind of concerning for your Aggie fans. I would understand, but I mean, the quarterback situation is kind of a mess right now. You don't have really, I mean, you've got 3 good quarterbacks, but from what I'm seeing so far, you don't have any great quarterbacks in your 3 good ones. With, I mean, you got Zach Calzada, you got Eli Stowers, Haynes King. Really, I think it's going to come down to either Haynes King or Zach Calzada from what I've seen so far. Zach Calzada is kind of a favorite right now, you could say, but Haynes King, then again, he's got the most experience with Texas A&M right now. He did play in 2020 a small amount at least. Of course, I mean, Kellen Mond, the thing is about Kellen Mond is he was actually a really good quarterback, and he was definitely underrated, I'd say, in the SEC last season, and he was a 4-year starter as well. So this is the first season in a while you haven't had Kellen Mond under center. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who takes over that quarterback position. Haynes King, Zach Calzada are probably your two favorites right now to take that position. We'll have to see what happens. But if you're asking my opinion, I feel like this is going to be one of those battles that goes far into the college football season. Like, we're not going to see a full, defined starting quarterback out of Texas A&M this upcoming season. You got two quarterbacks who are definitely going to be battling back and forth quite a bit with Haynes King and Zach Calzada there. But who knows? Eli Stowers is kind of a long shot, but he is in the background here, so do watch out for him. Number 10 is going to be Ken Seals, Vanderbilt quarterback. And if you are not very familiar with Vanderbilt football, this team is they were pretty terrible last season, but the quarterback position was not a concern for Vanderbilt. I mean, Ken Seals actually had a good season for this team. Like, he put up right around 2,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 65% completion rate. That is honestly, like, anything over 62 or 63% in the completion rate spectrum is actually pretty good. Ken Seals is exceeding that, so watch out for him for next season. I mean, Vanderbilt does not have a whole lot of talent other than Ken Seals, but I mean, who knows? If Ken Seals could get a couple of good wide receivers, this Vanderbilt team could actually be pretty good. But yeah, Ken Seals is their guy right now for sure, and he comes in at number 10, also in the C tier. As for number 9, it's going to be Connor BAZELAK out of Missouri, and he's going to start off our B tier. Last season, he put up just over 2,300 yards, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's got a lot of talent as well. You're going to have to watch out for him. He was named the SEC Freshman of the Year last year. He's got a ton of momentum right now for sure. Like, he put up a 67% completion rate. Only reason why Connor BAZELAK is not higher than he is right now is just because of the amount of talent that's in front of him. I mean, he definitely could be like 7, 8, or 9 on this list, I'll be honest with you. It was pretty tough to rank these quarterbacks just because of the skill that we're seeing here in the SEC. Like, it's pretty insane. But yeah, last season he put up an outstanding completion rate, 67%, 2,300 yards. He is definitely a name to watch out for next season for Missouri. I mean, he could either be kind of mediocre, but at the same time, I could see this guy being pretty explosive and leading Missouri to actually a good season. Watch out for him for sure. Number 8 is going to be Will Rogers, or whichever quarterback wins the Mississippi State quarterback battle. This is also an interesting situation here because you got Jack Abraham, who is coming in from Southern Miss, and he's got more experience than Will Rogers. Will Rogers has only played one season of college football in 2020, 1,900 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 69% completion rate. So really, I mean, Will Rogers put up some of the better stats in the SEC last season if you're looking at the quarterback position, especially for him at number 8. But you also got to watch out for Jack Abraham here. It's either going to be Jack Abraham or Will Rogers, I can almost guarantee you. But Jack Abraham, he had an outstanding completion rate in 2018. He's been playing since 2018. He's a player to watch out for sure, and it's going to be very interesting to see who can win that quarterback battle. I think we're going to see Rogers and Abraham switch off quite a bit. I don't expect there to be a full defined quarterback position for this team next season. We could easily see it go back and forth quite a bit, but Will Rogers right now, I'm expecting to be the starting quarterback just because, at least for the first week, just because he's already been in the system with Mississippi State. But Jack Abraham should be playing quite a bit next season as well. Either way, I mean, whether it's Jack Abraham or Will Rogers, I'd probably put him at number 7 or number 8. Number 7, speaking of which, is going to be Harrison Bailey. This may surprise you a little bit to see him as high as he is on my list, but out of Tennessee, I mean, he was a former 5-star prospect. Last season, I mean, he didn't get to play a whole lot, so it didn't look too good, but put up over 570 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 71% completion rate if you round up there. So, I mean, a 70% completion rate is pretty outstanding. I mean, if you could get up to 70%, I understand he didn't play a whole lot, but anything above, like, even 67, 68% is outstanding in my opinion. And Harrison Bailey played very well when he was able to last season. This guy's got potential. Like, for Tennessee, I mean, Tennessee just is in a rough situation right now with as much talent as they're losing, but Harrison Bailey does show potential, I think, in this Volunteer team. I don't expect the Vols to be an SEC contender next season by any means, but I do think Harrison Bailey definitely brings potential to this team, and you're going to want to watch out for him going into next year. Really, I mean, if you look at the end of 2020 for this player, he really started to really grow and improve, and really he's got a decent amount of momentum going into next season. It's just, if he can get a couple good wide receivers, I mean, he's got a lot of potential. Very tall, 6'5" as well, so watch out for him for next season. Harrison Bailey is definitely a name that I'm putting on my list. As for number 8, it's going to be Emory Jones. This is where the quarterbacks really start to get outstanding. Emory Jones is still in the B tier, but we're going to be out of the B tier pretty quick here. Emory Jones has played, or has been with Florida for 3 seasons since 2018. He's been the primary backup for quite a while now, but I think in 2021 this will be his chance to really show Florida what kind of quarterback he is. Obviously, Kyle Trask is now gone, so Emory Jones, it's his time to shine. I mean, if you look at his stats over the course of the last 3 seasons, his completion rate has actually gone down, but the potential in this player is outstanding. I really like this guy. I mean, Emory Jones, I mean, if you look at, I mean, he's got a dangerous amount of mobility. He's a dual threat quarterback for sure. Outstanding in his play style, and I definitely think, I mean, he's got a lot of potential going into next season. And with Dan Mullen and the offensive mindset that he's got, I mean, this player is for real. Emory Jones is definitely a player to watch out for next season. But once again, he hasn't played a whole lot, so we haven't seen a whole lot out of him. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how he does, especially at the beginning of the season, but he's a player to watch out for. Number 5 and the first in the A tier is going to be BO Nix out of Auburn. He's been outstanding for Auburn. I mean, if you look over the past couple of seasons, like especially considering how young of a quarterback he was in his first season in 2019, like he put up over 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 57% completion rate. His completion rate is kind of low. I think we all can agree there, but he's definitely got, I mean, he puts up great yardage, doesn't throw too many interceptions, which is also a good thing. BO Nix, I definitely think as he gets older, he's going to continue to get better and better. Like if you look at how he's looking going to next season, like Auburn in general is looking outstanding going into next year. They're returning a ton of talent. I mean, after 2019, this team did lose quite a bit, but I mean, it's a different story this offseason. This team is returning quite a bit. BO Nix is bound, I think, for an outstanding season. He could definitely have a breakout season, I could say too. I mean, especially if he can stay healthy, that would be huge for Auburn. And BO Nix, I like this player quite a bit going to next season. He's going to come in at number 5. Number 4 is going to be Max Johnson or Miles Brennan, whichever quarterback starts for LSU. I'm expecting it to be Max Johnson just because, I mean, he played towards the end of last season, and he did play pretty well for LSU. And really, I mean, if you look at how he did last season, put up over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, 59% completion rate as well. So Max Johnson definitely shows a great amount of potential for this team. And really, I mean, if you look at Miles Brennan, the only reason why Max Johnson even got an opportunity was because Miles Brennan got injured. So Max Johnson definitely capitalized on that, though, and he is the current favorite to be the starting quarterback at the beginning of next season, at least for LSU. But we will have to see what happens there. Miles Brennan's definitely going to be in the background there, and I could see either quarterback starting for this team. But number 3 is going to come down to Bryce Young out of Alabama. Of course, this is going to be his first primary season as the starting quarterback, and we've seen however many quarterbacks come into Alabama and just completely just destroy it pretty much. They just have outstanding seasons, and Bryce Young, I think, is going to be the next one to show that. Like we saw that out of Tua, Jalen Hurts. We saw that last season out of Mac Jones. I mean, Alabama's had quarterback after quarterback after quarterback who have just done outstanding. And Bryce Young coming in as a 5-star out of high school, he's the next one. I think he's going to be an outstanding player. I mean, we saw him just a little bit last season, put up 156 yards, 1 touchdown. So we have not seen him play a whole lot. But I think, I mean, just Alabama in general is just an outstanding team, and they continue to bring in great recruiting. This team's got a ton of talent at the receiver position. Bryce Young's going to do just fine next season. He'll be number 3 on our list. Number 2 is going to be Matt Corral. This is going to be a little bit of a surprise to you if you're not very familiar with Ole Miss or SEC quarterbacks, because, I mean, just looking at the stats, I mean, this almost surprised me. I didn't realize how good of a season Matt Corral was having last season until I actually looked at his stats. I mean, he put up over 3,300 yards, 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and a 71% completion rate. He had an outstanding season for Ole Miss, and even though Ole Miss wasn't really a national contender or a ranked team by any means, I mean, he was having an outstanding season, and really, he's a player to watch out for next season. Like, he really, I mean, yeah, he improved a ton from 2019 to 2020, which is, I mean, out of 2020, usually out of a lot of the players, like in 2020, it was just kind of a down season, but not for Matt Corral. He improved a ton from 2019 to 2020. Just looking at the stats there, I mean, in 2019, he had 1,300 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He was kind of in a quarterback battle as well, but in 2020, completely just shifted the way that he plays the game, and he improved a ton. If he can improve going into 2021 even more, he's a player to watch out for sure. Matt Corral, keep him on your list of names. But number 1, not much of a surprise here. It's going to be JT Daniels out of Georgia. I like this quarterback quite a bit going into next season. I mean, he was a transfer in from USC last year, put up over 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 67% completion rate as well. Started the final 4 games for the Bulldogs last year, and this Georgia team was undefeated with JT Daniels at quarterback. They were 4-0 when JT Daniels was starting for this team. He's going to be an outstanding player next season. If he can just stay healthy, that is the thing for him, is he's got to stay healthy. If he can be healthy next season, like, JT Daniels in Georgia will be a national contender, I can guarantee you, next year. I mean, just his stats in general, once again, 1,200 yards in pretty much only 4 games. That's outstanding for JT Daniels, and he's got a tremendous amount of potential going to next season. I like this quarterback quite a bit. I mean, he almost could be a tier above everyone else, I could argue. I mean, Matt Corral's a great quarterback, but JT Daniels, I'd say, is exponentially better than him at many ways that he plays the game. Like at USC, JT Daniels, like, we already saw the potential in 2018 when he was their primary quarterback, 2,600 yards, 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and didn't play much in 2019. That's when he transferred to Georgia for 2020. And once again, if he can stay healthy, watch out for JT Daniels, watch out for Georgia. They're going to be for real next year. That being said, that wraps up my quarterback rankings for the 2021 college football season for the SEC. Let me know your thoughts and comments below on these rankings, and if you appreciated these rankings, if you enjoyed the video, slap a like on it, subscribe as well if you're not already yet, as it really helps with the channel. I'd really appreciate that. But once again, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you guys later.